A beautiful view from high atop Flamboro Downs in Flamboro, Ontario. Built in the mid-1970s by one Charles Juravinski. And tonight we honor him with the race named after him. His signature event, the Confederation Cup, for many years here at Flamboro Downs. And tonight it is the first edition of the Charles Juravinski Memorial Cup, and there's a look at the scene. It is a pleasant night for racing. Clear skies, a little bit on the cool side, but we will take it after what we had in the area yesterday. Mark McKelvey, as we welcome you back on board. And yeah, we had to deal with some inclement weather that took its toll on some parts of the province, including our colleague Kenny Middleton, who's a late scratch tonight. Unfortunately, his farm took the brunt of some of that yesterday, so he's been busy all day fixing that up, but we've got Rob Reed Jr. pinch hitting. And what a race we have tonight for the Charles Juravinski Memorial Cup. I think pound for pound, the best standardbred race we've seen in North America this year.
I would agree with that take. It is an incredible group of four-year-old pacers lining up tonight for the Charles Juravinski Memorial Cup. You just go through this field and look at their accomplishments already at this point. And Greg, I was saying to you before we came on air here tonight, I expect several of these horses to go on to do big things this year. They always talk about that jump from 3 to 4 and that transition, the time you need going into the older pacing ranks. Well, I think there's some four-year-olds here that are going to be a force to be reckoned with as this year proceeds.
And we saw a track record last week in the eliminations, so it left us wondering what we might see here tonight. But let's talk about the weather. It's a bit cooler than we're expecting at this point in the year. From that perspective, do you think they can give that track record a scare?
Well, the times here tonight haven't really been eye-popping just yet, but now you get to horses like we're going to see in the Juravinski Memorial Cup, and you know it doesn't really matter what the conditions are. They can always put up a big mile. That being said, I don't know if we're going to push that track record, but when you've got such a deep field and you've got so much speed, especially to the inside, you know there's going to be some big fractions put up. I'm actually banking this is going to be the kind of race maybe for a closer, which you don't typically see on a half-mile track, but there's a good chance we're going to be pushing that sub-150 mark once again. It's going to take a big effort here tonight to get past that new track record set last week, which I know we'll talk about in just a moment.
It is going to be a whole lot of fun tonight. What a great undercard we have as well. So as we said off the top, we were expecting to have Kenny Middleton joining us, of course, the longtime voice of Flamboro Downs before going on to Woodbine Entertainment. And I know he's disappointed he couldn't make it, and will likely be tuning in a little bit later on this evening. We've got an ample replacement, though, a gentleman that's no stranger to the show, Rob Reed Jr. over in our paddock location. Rob, tell us what we've got coming up on an action-packed program here tonight.
Oh, I'm just thrilled to be here, coming in off the all-eligible list, as you said. Listen, it's a great card of racing. The undercard's fantastic. We've got Ontario Sire Stakes Grassroots races. We've got an invitational for fillies and mares, and, of course, the main event tonight, which I can't wait to see. And really, a murderer's row of four-year-olds, and it's going to be fantastic.
All right, we want to welcome everybody tuning in tonight online. We are on a few different platforms, as always, and it's great to hear from you. So let us know where you are tuning in from this evening. Give us your thoughts on the program, perhaps a pick or two as well. We could use all the help we can get in that regard. But, yeah, let's take a look at the graphic and just give you the full rundown of what we have coming up tonight. Again, 5 races, and what a solid group of races we've got in store for people tonight.
Exactly that. You get a look at the lineup that you're going to be seeing here tonight on COSA-TV, and we're not going to waste any time. In just a few minutes, we're going to turn our focus to an Ontario Sire Stakes Grassroots division for 3-year-old pacing colts and geldings. We've got a couple of those divisions on tap as well. We talked about the Charles Juravinski Memorial Cup, that featuring some of the heavyweights of our sport, 4-year-old pacers. Well, the fillies and mares, I guess you can say the mares are going to get their chance as well. As added this year to the card is the Margaret Juravinski Memorial, as that is an invite for 4-year-old pacing mares. We'll see that coming up in race number 7. So a fantastic lineup, capped off, of course, with that main event coming up in race number 10.
All right, look at them coming out of the paddock for the first of our 5 tonight. Let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will dive right into the action from Flamboro Downs. London, get ready. The $150,000 Camlock Classic returns to the Raceway Friday, May 27th, featuring fine dining, party on the patio, giveaways, and more. Parking and admission are free. Visit camlockclassic.ca.
Harness Racing Update is the sport's most comprehensive and timely news source. HRU covers the sport from all angles with news, features, photography, opinion, and analysis of racing. Also, HRU covers breeding and sales, as well as industry stories you need to know. It's all delivered by a deep, diverse, and talented team of writers and photographers. And the best news is that it's free to subscribe. Subscribe to HRU today for free at harnessracingupdate.com and see what everyone is talking about.
All right, we're getting a look at the post parade of the first of our 5 tonight, diving right into Ontario Sire Stakes Grassroots action. 3-year-old colt pacers, always a fun time of year, Mark. You, of course, looking ahead to the Pepsi North America Cup and the very best 3-year-olds in North America, but some very talented youngsters will be on display here tonight.
Exactly that, and this is our first OSS event of the year, so there's always that decision that has to be made. Now, when you're looking at the 3-year-olds, you, for most of them, have their 2-year-old seasons to go off of, and you have an idea where you might stack up, but there's a possibility we're going to see some horses here tonight in this first leg of the Grassroots that really impress, and then maybe earn that chance to jump up to the gold. Keep in mind, the first OSS Gold event of the year is not till July 2nd. Sets up that way due to some of the other Grand Circuit stakes, as well as the addition of the SBOA stakes. That's where the gold level horses are competing right now. So an opportunity here early in the season to see where some of these horses stack themselves up within the province. Through 2 divisions already, we can tell you that James Mcdonald has visited the winner's circle both times, and he's going to be sitting behind Twin B Raptor here, leaving from post 3, currently the second choice. He's had a big night so far, has James, and of course that's on the heels of a pair of victories last night in the SBOA stakes for the fillies.
Yeah, James sweeping the first 3 on the program tonight. So Canada's reigning driver of the year is picking up right where he left off. You've got the Nick Galucci barn now back in full swing, and it looks like all of their stars are coming back strong this year. Want to quickly say hello to our viewers tuning in tonight. We've got many of our regular friends that we hear from each time we're on live. Jason Turnbull's joining us tonight from Cape Breton. Nancy Hubbard tuning in from Downers Grove, Illinois. Great to have them on board. Our friend Andy Carnegie from Alberta. Eleanor Talbot from Calgary. The Battle of Alberta raging on, of course, on the ice, and perhaps here tonight as well as part of the show. Diane Bond from New Brunswick joining us as well. Great to have you all on board, and yeah, wherever you're tuning in tonight, say hello and let us know where you're watching from. Getting back to those SBOA races, Mark, with the inclement weather and the active weather we had here, and power outages, unfortunately forced to cancel the back half of the program last night at Mohawk Park. Can you give us the status of those SBOA races and what will happen with those?
Well, as I mentioned, the filly races were contested. Silver Label and Adair Castle picked up the victories in those events, and we didn't get to the Colts and Geldings, so it's going to be a 2-parter this week coming up, as tomorrow evening at Woodbine Mohawk Park, the 3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trotters will have their final. It's going to go at 6:30, so for those fans that are used to tuning in around 7 p.m., set your alarm half an hour earlier. It'll be a non-wagering event. Of course, that race featuring the likes of Twin B Archie, duly resolved. As for the pacing Colts and Geldings, well, the way that the stake schedule lines up, there won't be any conflicts if you push it back to next Saturday, and that's exactly what the officials at Woodbine Mohawk Park have decided. So that final is going to go next Saturday night. It'll be the main event on next Saturday's card at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and it's going to lead beautifully, and then to the Some Beach Somewhere Stakes the Saturday after. And then, of course, the following 2 Saturdays from that, it'll be the Pepsi North America Cup. So a very busy schedule coming up, but a little bit of a delay. Of course, those were new events added this year, Greg, as we've always had the SBOA stakes for the fillies. This year, the decision was made to add one for the Colts and Geldings, and very well received. The nomination numbers were fantastic. Those purses, I think, is estimated to be around $100,000. And that was hoping there was going to be enough nominations to get it there. Well, it exceeded that. So a couple of fantastic races still coming up this week.
So much good racing on the horizon, especially here in Ontario, as Mark mentioned. Just looking ahead to this coming Friday night down the highway. We'll be back in London, Ontario for the Camelot Classic. We'll talk a bit about that throughout the night. As good as the field is here tonight, when you're talking older counterparts, it's pretty much on par. A star-studded field going to be here Friday night for that as well. And then, of course, that just tees things up beautifully for the Pepsi North America Cup back in the traditional June time slot, and I think a lot of people are excited about that.
I know I am. It's always that race that sort of sets the tone for the season when it comes to the Glamour Boy division. And the one thing about having that race at the start of the Grand Circuit season is you get tons of entries. You see everybody taking their shot, so you get a real good showdown. You get to see who's going to take the top spot early in the year. Of course, we can't complain, though, about the races we saw the last couple of years with that race being delayed. Tall Dark Stranger, what a performance. And, of course, the great story of Desperate Man, who we're going to see here later tonight in our main event.
Alrighty, so to get things started tonight, it's an Ontario Sire Stakes Grassroots division. There's another look at the field here as we pick them up, lining up behind the starting gate. Number 2, Sports Advisor from the Rick Zeron stable, Doug McNair driving. And 3, Twin B Raptor, James Mcdonald looking for a 4th winner on the card. Pretty much co-favorites with the starting gate rolling. The man who will call the action tonight, standing by, let's go up to track announcer Gary Guy.
Field of 7, race number 6. It is post time. Here they come. The field for race number 6, gathering speed approaching the start. And there at the start of the rough, it is Dreamfair Arnie B who is going to get out well. Sumax Angel, Chimera Moment, Sports Advisor, then Twin B Raptor. Then it is back to Master Fencer. And trailing the field is Buck and Better. And they race their way on into the backstretch. And Dreamfair Arnie B wants to be the leader against Sumax Angel. And now Dreamfair Arnie B is going to sweep up and take the front. Sumax Angel is racing second. Chimera Moment broke stride. Sports Advisor is third right now, but is about 10 lengths off the lead of Dreamfair Arnie B, 6-1 opening quarter, 28-1. That lead for Dreamfair Arnie B. Currently B about 2.5 or 3 lengths over Sumax Angel. Sports Advisor third, then Twin B Raptor, Master Fencer, and Buck and Better has 5 better than that one right now as they race their way off the turn and they come on towards us. Dreamfair Arnie B leads as they head up to the half, and the advantage right now is about 3. Sumax Angel is racing position second. Then Sports Advisor third gets a little closer. Twin B Raptor fourth, 57-3 the halftime. Then it is Master Fencer and Buck and Better, but it is still Dreamfair Arnie B, who'll be very sharp right now. Has a lead of about 3 1/4. Sumax Angel is second. Sports Advisor now tipped to the outside, giving cover to Twin B Raptor. But Twin B Raptor is still about 5 off the lead or more. And then Master Fencer and Buck and Better. Dreamfair Arnie B. None has been better than this one so far, but Sports Advisor now, he is moving and looking to reel in. Dreamfair Arnie B. has come on to within about a half length of the front. 3/4, 125-2. And then Twin B Raptor is taken third. Sumax Angel is fourth. It is Sports Advisor and Doug McNair as they turn for home. Sports Advisor as they come to the finish. Twin B Raptor trying to close. Sports Advisor wins it. Then second was Twin B Raptor. Sumax Angel third, and Dreamfair Arnie B fourth, 154-1.
All right, a look at Sports Advisor. Doug McNair clicking here for the 154-1 victory. Son of sports writer notching his first win of the season. Had to reel in the pace setter Dreamfair Arnie B, who we thought maybe was going a little bit faster than the fractions would indicate there. He really blasted off the wings, and there was big separation between the top 2 and the rest of the field. But Doug McNair knew what he was doing, very patient, and waited as long as he could before making the winning move.
He's able to cash in as the public's top choice in this OSS Grassroots division. I said to you just as they were going behind the gate that if I was putting my money down, it was going to be on the 4 Dreamfair Arnie B. I thought he raced really well his last time out at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and then watching him warm up earlier tonight, Travis Cullen was just rocking him, and I love the way he looked, so I wasn't surprised to see him blast out of there. But just like you, I thought we were going to see an opening quarter potentially sub 27 seconds. They were just charging around that first turn in a bit of an early battle with Sumax Angel. That being said, obviously Travis knew that he was just going to try and go down the road and hope they didn't catch him. A big third quarter, though, and at that point, point, they started to reel him in. And Sports Advisor, you go back and look at some of the competition he's faced in recent weeks. He's faced some pretty talented horses. 2 back, the race he competed in on May 7th at Woodbine Mohawk Park was won by Macho Phil, who is in the SBOA Stakes final coming up next Saturday night. So this was a horse that was just looking for the right spot, and that spot was here tonight in the first Grassroots leg.
Has to be disheartening for a driver when your horse is pacing a 27 4/3 quarter, but the outside one is reeling you in slowly but surely.
I think so, and obviously Doug McNair, patience ends up paying off here as Sports Advisor gets the job done. You mentioned Rick Ziron doing the training. Of course, Rick is transitioned a little bit away from the sulky. We still see him driving a bit, but not as much as he did at one time, and handing the lines over to the very capable hands of Doug McNair. And Doug sat behind this horse for quite some time now, 16 starts previous in this horse's career, and almost all of those Doug had sat behind him for this gelded son, a sports writer, as he picks up the OSS Grassroots victory.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see that transition for a few of the guys, right? Rick Ziron, Paul McDonnell comes to mind, Mike Saftik to some extent as well, guys that were the top catch drivers for decades on the circuit, and now driving a bit, but doing some training as well, and doing quite well at it, I might add.
Exactly that. You think about a guy like Paul McDonnell, who's going to be going into the Hall of Fame. Chucky Hanover's one that has really turned some heads this season. He'll be a horse competing in the SBOA Stakes. Looks like he's going to be a top-level performer here in Ontario, and Paul trains and drives. And you know what? I guess when you start to see the driving slow down a little bit, they're obviously great horsemen as well, and they're able to take that talents, and they have a little more time to focus. It takes a toll. Obviously, we know that just talking to those top drivers for many, many years, driving 9, 10 races a night. There's not going to be a whole lot of time to be able to focus on running your own barn, but now I guess as you kind of transition to that phase, obviously we get to see their skills on display.
Yeah, that's right. And when we talk about Rick Ziron, we should clarify too, back in his heyday when he was a top catch driver, also ran a successful stable at that time. So it's not really surprising to see him starting to win again on the training side, more so these days. And he's got a nice one here in Sports Advisor. That's a solid Grassroots win here in start number 3, and popular at the mutuals as well. $4.40 is your win ticket return. The co-favorite Twin B Raptor comes from off the pace to be second. And Sue Max Angel, good effort for this one for Paul McKenzie, a homebred. Paul trains and drives, and he rounds out your top 3 in the first of 5 here this evening. Again, hello to some of our other folks joining us tonight. We've got Douglas Martin watching in from Philadelphia tonight. Great to have you on board. Wayne McDougall, Wayne from Stratford PEI, tuning in tonight, cheering on his fellow island boy James McDonald. Jeff McKay from PEI as well. Hi to Jeff and everybody tuning in tonight. We hope you enjoy the coverage. We have got quite a race coming up a little bit later, the Charles Juravinsky Memorial Cup. The Margaret Juravinsky Invitational for the Mares is coming up next. We'll take a quick commercial break and be back with more in a couple of moments.
Since 1996, the Ontario Standardbred Adoption Society has facilitated the retraining and management of more than 1,000 retired and non-racing standardbred horses. This award-winning organization also plays a key role in the advocacy and promotion of the breed's versatility and suitability for many equine disciplines beyond harness racing. Volunteers and temporary foster homes are vital to our success. If you have a passion for standardbreds, learn more at osas.ca.
For over 25 years, Tara Hill Stud has worked with partners to help produce champion stallions. We are proud to have bred great racehorses like Fade Out, Shower Play, Precious Delight, and There's a Demon in Me. Our stallions, past and present, have had tremendous success while making a huge impact on racing across North America. Mr. Levesque, Mach 3, Cadabra, Muscle Mass, and Precious Bunny, to name a few. Our stallions' progeny have won major events, including the Hambletonian. Tara Hill Stud are currently standing 9 of the industry's top stallions. Alarm Detector, Control the Moment, Danson Lou, Flanagan Memory, Green Manalishi, He's Watching, Muscle Mass, Resolve, and Sports Writer. Our facility is modern, our staff knowledgeable. Consider Tara Hill Stud when choosing a home for your stallion. Tara Hill Stud, where champions stand and champion yearlings are raised. Log on to tarahills.com.
Three wide from off the cover. He's going to find out what B-Tray's got in store for us, and it looks like he's got the pace. B-Tray had a great covered up trip, and here comes B-Tray from off the back. Here comes Stout from the backfield as well. Kerwin's got Stout motoring up. 125 and 3 3/4, 29 and 1 backstretch. B-Tray is cleared, but he isn't out of the woods just yet. How about Stout? Pint-sized pacer, he's got a ton of heart, and these two have set off by 5 lengths in a match race. B-Tray on the inside, the only colt who made the supplemental payment. Looks like he's strutting his stuff, but Stout's got the better of him on the outside. And here comes Stout. He's going to grab the lion's share of the Confederation Cup. Tony Kerwin brings him by, and he wins it by 2 lengths in 154 flat. B-Tray was a gutsy runner-up. He was second, and Immortal Command shook loose late to...
Welcome back. There's the scene. We are at Flamboro Downs, where tonight we present the first running of the Charles Juravinsky Memorial Cup. Nice flashback, and we're going to look at a few of those tonight. Old Confederation Cups, of course, the longtime signature race here. That was Stout and Tony Kerwood back in 1996. Boy, was he a good one. I remember it was a year or two later, he came to Charlottetown with stablemate Native Born. We had never seen that kind of horse flesh for the Gold Cup and Saucer until that point. What a show they put on. I believe they both set a track record and I think equaled each other's track record in the elims, and then Native Born shattered the track record in the final. So a lot of fun to take those trips down memory lane. A little bit before your time.
Well, just a little bit. I might have been 3 or 4 years old at that point, but I might have been here. You never know. I might have actually been here. I'm not entirely sure. That being said, I've had a chance to take in many Confederation Cups growing up, and one of those events that memory lane is a great way to put it, because whenever you talk to anybody from this area, all they talk about is the Confederation Cup, the great party that it was, and we've seen this place absolutely packed on those warm summer days for the Confederation Cup. It's a little different now. Here we are in the springtime with a race for the 4-year-olds, but a great, rich history, and great to go back and go take a look at some of those past winners.
Yeah, it's now a nighttime race and for 4-year-olds. And yeah, Mother Nature not really doing her best work this weekend, but hey, it's a lot better than it was here at this time last evening, so we will take it. And it is great to be with you and able to present this live coverage from Flamboro Downs. While we have a moment, let's bring up a trivia question for you tonight. And we want to know who Ron Burke is tied with for the most training victories in the history of the Confederation Cup, now the Juravinsky Memorial. He's tied with one other trainer for the most victories in the event. We might as well give them a hint. It's four training wins in the history of the Confederation Cup. So if you think you know the answer, let us know in the chat. And we'll find out who is able to correctly come up with that. And we'll be talking a lot more about that race during the course of the night. But time to turn our attention now to the Margaret Juravinsky Invitational. And the late, great Charlie Juravinsky, of course, a great man, a giant in the sport. And we've got a nice feature that we're going to have on him later. But the lady that's been by his side and a big part of everything Charlie has done, his wonderful wife, Margaret. And it's nice to have a race named in her honor here this evening as well. 4-year-old mares open, and a good-looking field of 9. Very interesting that the favorite at 4 to 5 will start from the very outside of the gate.
Awesome Hill, when I saw that she was going to be partaking in this race, I knew she'd be the favorite, but it makes things a lot more interesting, like you said, when the post position draw comes out, and she lands herself out in post position number 8. So she'll be on the far outside, and obviously driver Doug McNair is going to have to be really strategic here in how he approaches this one. I think Awesome Hill, there's no doubt she deserves to be the favorite. In her last couple of starts, she's been competing in the mares preferred, but here just against 4-year-olds. So she stacks up definitely as the class of this group, but this is a really good field, a very deep group, and just shows the kind of talent that we've got across not only here in Ontario but North America, as you've got some coming in that have been racing south of the border in recent weeks.
And one of those is Mystifying, And for all of our viewers tonight on the East Coast, that's going to be a familiar name. This mare was a standout in the Atlantic Sire Stakes program. $75,000 on her card last year. That's certainly impressive for that part of the world in a single season. And she's carried her form pretty well. You know, she's had a bit of a grueling campaign. She's done some traveling, of course, after that stake season. As you mentioned, racing at Yonkers, that's tough racing, very high caliber there. And to come back here, but her form's held up pretty well, and she's got a good post to work with.
She certainly does, and trainer Carmen Osceola has got that dual operation going. He's got, obviously, his home base here in Ontario, but has had a really good go here in 2022 on both sides of the border. He's currently the leading trainer at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and this 4-year-old daughter of Source of Pride, mystifying. You just got to look at her. We'll go from post 2 with Jonathan Drury doing the driving, and you can look at her past starts, and she has drawn pretty well, considering in her last 6, the furthest she's been out is post position number 5, and she's got enough speed, it looks like, that she'll get away all right here. Should be right up there in the early mix, and one that certainly deserves a good look currently at 5-1.
Beach Moment, the number 7 in the field, 15-1, Blake McIntosh trainee. She comes from south of the border where she's done some good things. A couple of impressive wins at Yonkers, racing there at a high non-winners level. And then the last 3 coming at the Big M. And right in the hunt in all of those recent tries against, I think, a level of competition that would stack up well here. And she gets Yannick Gingras in the driver's seat. The only thing not to like, probably the post position.
Yeah, exactly that. Just like Awesome Hill, you want to draw towards the inside. Here's a filly or a mare that should be getting a little bit of love. I look at the board right now, and she's exactly at her morning line odds of 12-1. Yannick Gingras has the familiarity as well. Sometimes in these situations, you see those drivers come up from the U.S. and they pick up some horses that they've never sat behind, and some will say they can sometimes at changing it up, they can step up a horse, but in this situation, Yannick's exactly familiar with her. There's no questions that need to be asked, and I'm sure he'll have a bit of a strategy here to get her a piece as trainer Blake McIntosh brought her back. Obviously, seeing this opportunity, a chance to go for $50,000 in this invitational for 4-year-old mares. Exotic
Dragon number 4, a pretty attractive price right now at 10-1. Travis Cullen, we saw him handle a post 4 starter quite aggressively back in race number 6. This mare has been facing some stiff competition as well. It was only 2 back. She raced at the preferred level at Mohawk Park against Awesome Hill. It finished well back there, but has a bit of a post edge over some of the rivals tonight.
Yeah, and exactly what you just mentioned, the fact that Exotic Dragon has competed in the preferred is pretty impressive, that she's been able to get herself up to those ranks here early in her 4-year-old campaign. She can't exactly break through at that level, but just below, she's been able to put up some good results.
So here's a look at them on post parade. There is Mystifying, the former Atlantic Canadian champion, post 2 here with JD, Jonathan Drury in the bike, 8-1 odds, 3 JM bet on 6. Detained in the backstretch, Julie Robinson trains this one. 4-time winner in 11 this year for Sylvain Philly on the betting line. Mare coming off a good qualifying win at Mohawk Park.
There is a look at Exotic Dragon going for Team Cullen. Just to her outside will be Paula's Bet Hanover, and this is a mare that has made some noise in both her 2- and 3-year-old campaigns. She's tough, and she should be a factor even at that 30-1 price.
There's 6 Village Jade, light in the win column, but the daughter of Better's Delight, ultra competitive from a time perspective and a class level. Looks like she fits here and gets Dexter Dunn to do the driving.
We already mentioned Beach Moment going for trainer Blake McIntosh, Yannick Gingras in the bike. From the outside, post 8, Awesome Hill. Trainer Chantel Mitchell has Doug McNair in the bike as he gets the chance to sit behind her this evening.
And she does look awesome on post parade. Just Daisy completing the field for Terry Fritz of Walkerton. He owns and does the training. She captured the Ontario Girls Final on March 10th at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Was a winner there narrowly. Given some time off to freshen up. Came back a good second place finish behind JM Bet on 6 in that recent 153 qualifier at Woodbine Mohawk Park. So a really nice tune-up for this one, who was a 9-time winner in 20 last year. and they kind of kept her away from the wolves, so to speak, and I think really picked their spots well with her and capitalized with several wins and $82,000 in earnings. And I think a little bit of a time off to freshen up. They've really got her set up for another solid and very hopefully productive campaign here as a 4-year-old.
Exactly that, and that's the one thing I like to see some trainers do, where they realize, yeah, there's opportunities that you can potentially cash in the 2- and 3-year-old seasons in the Ontario Sire Stakes program, but maybe some are a little slow coming along, and you pick your spots. There's some great late closing opportunities throughout the winter and spring months, obviously back in the fall as well. And here's a mare that maybe isn't a household name, but just like a lot of these horses in this field, they might not have the same cachet as the horses we're going to see in our main event here tonight, but something tells me some of these are going to be the mares you become very familiar watching in the preferred ranks on a weekly basis.
All right, talk of the tote board remains Awesome Hill, big strapping filly, and really the only question is how will she handle the return to the half-mile oval here and an outside post to go along with it. So it adds an element of intrigue, even though she is 1-2 and she'll have to earn it. We're going to head over to the paddock. Rob Reed Jr. Rob, we'll get your thoughts here. Is it as simple as Awesome Hill despite that challenging post position?
Yeah, I think that Awesome Hill's certainly the one to beat in here. I mean, 1-2 right now. That's certainly not a sexy price on the board, Greg, but, you know, one that, you know, has been knocking heads with so much more, beat that super mare 2 back, and has really, you know, progressed into an amazing mare at 4, and reunited with Doug McNair. 14 times driving this horse. He's got 7 victories, only missed the board once. So, but post 8's the great equalizer, right? So from a wagering perspective, it's hard to bet any horse from that far outside on the gate at 1-2.
Having said that, you talked about wagering. This starts a lucrative pick 5, $15,000 guaranteed pool tonight. And part of the 5-race sequence will be the Charles Juravinsky Memorial later on. Would you single Awesome Hill from post 8, or do you throw 1 or 2 or perhaps more in with her?
You know what, the way she's been racing lately, Greg, to be honest, I'd probably single her. You know, I don't think I could take better on a win ticket, but I do think I would probably single her just being the best in this race, even from post 8. So I wouldn't want to waste too much equity here and just hope she does convert as the favorite.
All right, thank you, Rob. We'll catch up with you throughout the night from our paddock location here at Flamboro Downs, getting set to go momentarily for the Margaret Juravinsky Invitational for pacing mares. Speaking of pacing mares and a barn full of great ones, Jim and Joanne King are tuning in tonight, and they say hello, watching from Harrington, Delaware. Great to have you on board. Yeah, every year it seems like they've got the next big thing in the older mares pacing ranks.
That's certainly been the case over the last several years. Sharton, going to be a Hall of Famer. Lion Sentinel, what a mare she is as well. They've had a terrific run in the last bit with these pacing mares. Maybe needing to pay attention to some of their future competition that they'll be battling maybe later this season. Someone like the likes of Awesome Hill. And while Robert Reed was mentioning about the fact that, you know, you're trying to back a horse that looks like she lays over this group, but she's got post position number 8. Checking out the post position stats here at Flamboro Downs this season, post 8 on the pace has been in a race 155 times this year, 9 wins, so 5.8% winning percentage for post 8. That's probably exactly what you would expect. We'll see if Awesome Hill can become the 10th this season at Flamboro Downs to get the job done from the far outside.
And to do it from post 8, you'd have to think she's going to have to leave and at least get some forward position. Not necessarily make the lead, but beat a few of them away. Because to come from 8th or 9th, no matter how good you are, is quite a tall order.
Oh, exactly that. And where does she end up getting herself slotted? That'll be interesting to see. Does Doug McNair get a chance to drop in somewhere, or does he just have to keep on going? And that being said, we know Doug can get them off the wings probably as good as anybody, especially on a half-mile track. So I just wouldn't be shocked if he can get her there. No problem. We're about to find out.
So it is turning out to be a very nice night here. Beautiful sky over Flamboro Downs this evening. And we have got some horsepower on display here. 4-year-old pacing mares, the Margaret Juravinsky Invitational for $50,000. They're on gate.
Jade, Beach Moment, Awesome Hill, and the second tier, Just Daisy. Field of 9, 7th dash. It is post time. Here they come. And the field for the 7th race, gathering speed, nearing the start. They're at the start of the rough. Beach Moment from the outside with Awesome Hill and Mystifying and Exotic Dragon. State of Mind is 5th away as they work on around the turn. But right now, Beach Moment has come on for Yannick Gingras to get the lead. Mystifying's racing 2nd. Exotic Dragon 3rd. And Awesome Hill from post 8 was able to get out and get to the pylons racing 4th in front of State of Mind. And then it is back to Just Daisy. JM Bet on 6 and Paula's Bet Hanover. And Village Jade is trailing the field. Beach Moment at 30-1's got the lead past the opening quarter in 27-3. Mystifying and JD is right there in the pocket. And then Exotic Dragon 3rd. Racing 4th is Awesome Hill. Now State of Mind is going to angle to the outside as they race their way off the turn, flushing out cover. As Awesome Hill now is going to come first up from 4th. State of Mind racing 5th. Off that quarter, 27-3, they race past the half. 6th is Paula's Bet Hanover, rather that is Just Daisy. Then Jam Bet 6 and Paula's Bet Hanover. And then Village Jade, 56-2 is the halftime. And it is still long shot Beach Moment at 30-1 with the front. Mystifying is right there in the pocket. Awesome Hill is getting up closer to the outside. Awesome Hill now is moved to within about a half length of the lead of Beach Moment. Mystifying is locked to the inside. 3rd, Exotic Dragon is racing 4th. Then 5th on the inside is Just Daisy. Then it is back to State of Mind. Paula's Bet Hanover. 3/4, 124-3. Awesome Hill trying to wear down Beach Moment is now come on to take a lead of about a head. And racing Mystifying is waiting for the passing lane now. And then Exotic Dragon, they turn on down the stretch drive. Awesome Hill and Beach Moment. Up the inside, Mystifying is closing. Awesome Hill on the outside. Awesome Hill, and on the inside, Mystifying. Awesome Hill and Mystifying in a photo. Then Beach Moment at Exotic Dragon. 153 and for a photo finish.
Well, we talked about her having to earn it, and that's exactly what she did. It was a hard-fought win, to say the least. It appeared she hung on by probably a long nose, but Awesome Hill overcoming that post-8 obstacle, long first over grind in the final half. And the former Maritime champion Mystifying makes it very interesting. Left for position and had lots of pace to offer in the late stages.
Exactly that, and Mystifying and Jonathan Drury able to take advantage of their post-2 starting spot to save a lot of ground. They got a good spot as they were forwardly placed, as you would expect, and they try to come up the inside on Awesome Hill. It was a grind for her. I'd love to go back and watch that first turn again because she got off the wings pretty well. Obviously, Beach Moment, the way that she blasted out of there was very impressive from post 7. But as they were going around that first turn, I thought Awesome Hill was going to stick right with her. All of a sudden, she was back about 5 lengths, and she did get a 4-hole to drop into. She was gapping a little bit maybe early on, but obviously Doug McNair was able to get her there as she is able to dig deep and show why she is one of the top mares here in Ontario, and one that'll be hoping to take on the best in North America. She is eligible to the upcoming Roses Are Red Stakes.
Yeah, it looked for a brief moment at the quarter like she was gapping, and, you know, we wondered, is she even going to move to the outside? And then she hit her best stride, and when she made her move, again going to 3/4, I kind of thought she might win a little bit easier, honestly, than she did. But others fought back gamely. Beach Moment had some fight left in her on the final turn. And, of course, the late challenge on the inside from Mystifying, and had one on her back to hold off as well. So full marks to Awesome Hill, and congratulations to the connections. Tom Hill of Hamilton, Ontario, Chantel Mitchell, the winning trainer, and Doug McNair comes right back with another winner here on the program and gets the lion's share of the $50,000 purse. This daughter of Sunshine Beach, she's a real eye catcher on the track. A big, good-looking, powerful filly, and when she's in full flight, she is reaching for racetrack.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And the way that she ended up getting over this track tonight, she found a way to get it done. As she gets the victory for now the 5th time this year, 11 career wins. And with this win tonight, you mentioned she picks up $25,000, pushes her well over $100,000 already made this year. So she, with this win now, is approaching $200,000 in career earnings, and still with many more opportunities to cash in as this year rolls along. All
right, there's Chantel out there, I believe, Chantel and Chris, and is that Tammy Sapper, I think, out there as well, helping out. And again, congratulations to Doug McNair. Good night at the office for him. So our local guys, Doug, James, having great nights, and of course both of them are hoping to cap it off with a real bang a little bit later in the main event. Ooh, there we go. Looks like she could go around again, and a good feeling mare, and she struts her stuff tonight and gets it done as expected in the Margaret Juravinsky Invitational Pace for the purse of $50,000. Takes home the winner's blanket, and again the lion's share of that lucrative purse. $273,000 will be on the line later in the Charles Juravinsky Memorial Cup, of course, our main event this evening. Again, we want to welcome all of our viewers watching in here this evening. We've got J.D. Varnell, of course, favorite of our show, good friend of the show, joining us this evening. Shelley, hopefully pronouncing this correctly, Scutch or Such from Moline, Illinois. Great to have you on board, and my apologies if I've mispronounced your last name. Todd Gimblett joining us as well tonight. Son Carter, I believe, is the track photographer here, and London does a great job. Yeah, big hello to everybody tuning in this evening. We'll get the prices from race number 7 here for you in a moment. Again, this was the opening leg of that late pick 5 wager, $15,000 guaranteed pool. I'm sure we are well in excess of that. The pools have looked very good tonight. And the good news for the horse players, a lot of people going to be alive going into leg 2.
Yeah, they'll get through there. I'm sure a lot of people, though, did take that approach where if she draws better, Awesome Hill is an easy single, but you probably had to sprinkle a few others in, and maybe you did sweat it a little bit, but she got the job done, and she came through as the favorite from post position number 8 as race number 7 is now official. And Greg, the one thing I was surprised about, Beach Moment, she did not get a lot of respect, and she went off at some pretty long odds, so if you thought she had a good chance and you had her in some of your exotics, you're going to be able to cash in, and she ends up turning over $7 to show.
The exotics are all right with a $3.30 winner. Superfector comes back at almost $1,000 for a $1 ticket. And even that dollar try, $174 with Mystifying in the runner-up spot, and Beach Moment, as you mentioned, a game 3rd place finisher as the long shot. 2 races down, 3 more to go here on this Sunday night. We'll take another short break and be back with more from Flamboro Downs.
By now, TV, an industry leader producing unique, high-quality digital content promoting harness racing in Ontario. Features, virtual programming, live events, and more. COSA-TV has it covered. Follow our social media channels and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page to view the latest content. And if you're looking to bet your favorite Ontario track, check out hpibet.com. COSA-TV, taking Ontario racing global.
Enjoy the thrill of the race anywhere, anytime with hpibet.com. Join for free and use your smartphone, tablet, or PC to watch and wager when you can't be at the track. Stream live racing from over 450 tracks. Bet with ease from anywhere. It's safe and secure. Get rewards, race alerts, tips, and more. For a limited time, get $100 when you become a member. Plus, 1 month free live race streaming, and your first bet is on us. Go to hpibet.com to join for free today.
Side out.
astronomical. Right there on the inside, Syncrosi Tam. And now popping off cover quickly is American Ideal. The surge to the lead. It's American Ideal who opens up explosively and is forged to a lead of 4 and is showing a tremendous burst of speed as they race to 3/4. Now coming on to take over second is all over the place on the outside. It's Liz Mara. And racing fourth now is Astronomical. Then it's back to Syncrosi Tam and Banner Yankee. Then it's Lincoln Park, and Campswell is back to 8th, and True Force is 9th. 1:22 and 4 for 3/4. A tremendous pace set by American Ideal, who's putting forth a outstanding effort in Cup number 29. It is American Ideal against the clock. 1:51 and 1 is Art Major's time. Do we have it here? 1:50 and 3, a Flamboro Downs track record. And Confederation Cup number 29, American Ideal was very sharp.
2005 and a then track record performance, an electrifying effort by American Ideal. A young 12-year-old Mark McKelvey was in attendance. You were born for that one.
I was around for that one, and I certainly remembered American Ideal with that performance. Electrifying is a good way to put it, and he'd go on to put up many more memorable miles like that. I remember being in Lexington later in that year when he put up a world record as well. So that's one that certainly sticks out as one of those all-time performances in the Confederation Cup.
Absolutely, and he's gone on to be a tremendous stallion as well. Another one that's gone on to do great things in the Stallion Barn is Shadow Play. He had many of the top 3-year-old colt pacers in the province last season, including Bulldog Hanover. And Rob, what a debut it was for him a week ago.
Yeah, I'm here in the paddock with Jack Darling, and we'll talk a little bit more about that right now. So, you know, hard transition usually from 3 to 4, but Bulldog certainly handled it well last week. Canadian record and track record over this surface. Tell us a little bit more about it, Jack.
He's made the transition very well. He's trained down well all year, and he's matured. He's kind of turned from a boy into a man, so everything's gone smooth so far.
All right, and speaking a little bit about that maturity, you know, he was one that I always kind of thought might not be the best over a half-mile surface, but looked fantastic last week, and then just now warming up, looked real sharp out there, handling the surface well. Can you talk a little bit about that and his maturity in getting around a half?
Well, he did have a little trouble last week getting around the turn. It's not a strong suit racing on a half-mile track. He's a big horse, and he's a big going horse. My blacksmith said it best the other day. He said, trying to race Bulldog on a half-mile track is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't fit very well, but he's a good gated horse, so he'll give his best, and we just got to hope we get around.
All right, and doing double duty now, both as a stud as a racehorse. So talk a little bit more about that, about the temperament of a horse, doing that. And has anything changed in him, or is he still the same old Bulldog?
No, he stayed the same. Some horses, they say, will get a little bit rammy, but he's acted fine. He goes and does his breeding. He's gone for half an hour. He comes back, and he's relaxed and perfect on the track. He's really adjusted well to it.
And coming up in the next race, OSS Grassroots race, you've got Sentry Iglesias. What about his chances tonight?
He should be very competitive. I think he's one of the better ones. The post is a little bit of a hindrance, and it's his first start back, so you never know. But I expect a good effort from him.
All right, well, good luck tonight, Jack. Jack Darling has Bulldog Hanover in race 10, the Charles Juravinsky Memorial Pace.
All right, thank you, Rob. Great to hear from Jack, and very candid, which was nice to hear too. He said that the half-mile track isn't picture perfect, and I think we all saw it the same way. Leaving the gate last week and getting into the first turn, he looked great, and then there was a brief moment where he looked like he might go off stride, but he's such a good horse and so great gated that he was able to negotiate the turn. Jody kept him together. And then to think he could pace in 1:49 and 3 after that's incredible.
In his first start of the year,
right.
Jack obviously took the approach to bring him here and qualify him a couple of times. As he mentioned it right there, it's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. But that being said, they're getting it done. They're finding a way to get it done. And I actually thought he probably should have been charted with a break. It was a quick break there, but I think it's something that people need to be aware of and keep in mind here tonight, that it could potentially be something to keep your eye on when they go rolling into that first turn. But the athleticism of this horse, as well as the skills shown by driver Jody Jamieson, got him right back together, and he goes on to that real impressive performance. And I think back to last year and some of those big-time performances he turned in. Couldn't come through in the Pepsi North America Cup. He was my pick going into that final, but here's a horse that is going to continue to rack up the earnings here and now, the older ranks.
And interesting to get some thoughts, too, on the horse doing double duty. That's a rarity, certainly, for a horse at this level to be doing. And he's one that I don't think he'll miss as a sire. I really don't. He's just such a beautiful specimen, and we've seen what he's been able to do on the racetrack. So if that translates at all, I think he'll be quite an addition to the Ontario program in that regard. But they've still got big fish to fry with him on the racetrack, and of course we'll talk more about him and the rest of the field a little bit later. But we've got another OSS Grassroots division coming up next, and we will see Jack Darling and Jody Jamieson teaming up here with Sentry Iglesias, another son of Shadow Play. Nice colt in his own right. Just 9 starts last year, and kind of a spotty campaign, but showed lots of talent in those 9 starts.
Competing in the Grassroots, he stays there to begin his 3-year-old campaign. He finished 5th in last year's Grassroots Championship, so he did qualify for the final. What stands out, though, was his victory back on September 5th over Clinton Raceway. So he did make a trip to a half-mile oval, and he came through with a victory in 1:57.3, a real good mile over the track at Clinton. So to make his season debut here tonight, as Jack put it there, I don't think the expectations are through the roof. I think they're hoping for a good outing, and they think he's ready, so we'll keep our eye on him, but certainly one that should be really competitive in the Grassroots this season based on what he showed last year as a 2-year-old.
Want to say hello to some more viewers tuning in this evening from Wilmington, Ohio. Dustin Blackburn. Hi to Dustin. Ohio, what a great jurisdiction for racing. Of course, we're hoping we'll be in Ohio maybe later this summer for the Little Brown Jug after a couple of years not being able to get down there. I hope so this year. Stephen McLeod's tuning in tonight from Nova Scotia. Hi, Stephen. Diane Crossman, friend of the show from St. John, New Brunswick, is watching. Trevor Ramsey, big Montreal Canadian fan, tuning in from Summerside, PEI. Hi to Trev. And John Abbott, John and Jesse Robinson, tuning in from Cloverdale, BC, here this evening as well.
Getting a good look at the horses, Greg, in the paddock as they'll be coming out onto the track in just a couple of moments here. We were expecting to see them out, but now they've gotten their cues from the paddock judge. I'm surprised right now that we're not seeing Silk Road Smash as the favorite. Now, the rail and the way Jabberwocky's been performing, and we'll talk about that Rick Ziron trainee in just a moment as you got a good look at him, but Silk Road Smash going for those connections of Millar Farms and Nick Gallucci, and right now, over the last year and carrying into this year, it feels like they win everything, and here's one that's done really nothing wrong until his last start where he made a break. Other than that, though, he looked like he's got a ton of ability and a ton of potential. So this is a real intriguing race coming up for our 4th and final OSS Grassroots division.
You're right. It's just strange when you see those connections. You almost automatically expect to see the horse taking plenty of tote support. And I think you'll see that drop, and we are seeing it somewhat now. 2-1 on the board, so basically co-favored with the number 1. Jabberwocky, but always a bit of a concern when you see the horse make a break in the last start at Woodbine Mohawk Park on the big track. But prior to that, you're right, absolutely did nothing wrong. Sentry Iglesias, I really like this colt. The only question mark there will be, from a fitness standpoint and having to face some tough rivals right off the bat in his first start. There's a good look at him with Double J in the bike, Jody Jamieson. He was our co-host a couple of weeks back when we had the driver challenge in London. Did a wonderful job, but he'd rather be out there competing in these types of races, and I don't blame him for that.
So the horses are on the track as we get a look at the post-parade. Rick Ziron and Doug McNair hoping to come right back with another Grassroots score as they team up here with Jabberwocky, who has yet to visit the winner's circle in 2 starts this year, but has a great post to work with and has shown some good flashes of big-time potential.
A son of he's watching one of those stallions the last couple of years. Really has stamped himself as a player in Ontario and has had several top performers to his credit. And Jabberwocky looks like he's going to be another one. There's the aforementioned Silk Road Smash, a son of Better's Delight. One of the homebreds from the Miller Farms, and last year a dream season for George, the longtime owner who has had many great horses over the years, but I don't think he's ever had so many in his barn in a single season. Everything they sent to the racetrack seemed to win.
Everything just went right, and it's carried over to this season already. Last night, Silver Label won the SBOA final for 3-year-old pacing fillies, and she looked really, really good. And her season last year does not get talked about at all because her stablemate, Prohibition Legal, was nearly perfect. She had to live in her shadow, but that being said, Silver Label, any other year, that is probably good enough to get you an O'Brien Award. So imagine having that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if she levels up the playing field a little bit with her stablemate, although Prohibition Legal, I thought, looked fantastic. She closed like a freight train the other night in her return engagement as well. Going to bring in Rob Reed Jr. And Rob, you talked to Jack Darling, and did he sell you on his horse in here, Sentry Invictus? Or Sentry Iglesias, I should say?
Yeah, he certainly did. I mean, he thinks that he does have one of the better ones in the race, but the issue, of course, is the post position, right? Post 6, not always the best spot here at Flamboro Downs, but one that certainly looks like he should be a player on paper.
In terms of the pick 4, we've got another multi-leg wager starting here, $15,000 guaranteed pool. Compare the late pick 4 to the late pick 5, which started in race 7. Do you have a preference for one over the other based on how the races came out in the post draw?
I'm typically always going to play that pick 5, Greg, because it's a higher degree of difficulty, right, and better payouts. And again, you're starting off with a favorite. Maybe you don't see that as much tonight with Awesome Hill winning. But in this race, I'm intrigued by the 2 Masked Man. Of course, it's won 4 of his 5 victories over this surface. Looks really sharp on the track tonight. Post 2 to work from. I think he's the value on the board right now at 5-1.
All right, thank you once again, Rob, and look forward to catching up with you again over in our paddock location. Always a beehive of activity, and yeah, it's incredible. For those who aren't familiar with what goes on in the backstretch on race night, it's incredible to watch. It's like a well-oiled machine, and it's a very skilled profession. You're working with upwards of 100 animals over there, all under one roof, and it's just amazing to see it all in action.
It's hustle and bustle nonstop, right? And it's, of course, a lot goes into it. You get to see the final product when they get out on the track, but there's constantly action going on in the race paddock, and for a lot of those folks, they're the ones that are up bright and early as well. And here we are at 9:40 p.m. on this Sunday evening, and here they are racing, and they do it not just because this is, for a lot of them, their profession, but just for pure love of the sport.
Absolutely, and love of the horses. And, those people will be, some of them tonight will get home, and by the time they get their horse put away and get to bed, it'll be, well after midnight, maybe 1, 2 in the morning. They'll be up first thing tomorrow in there to feed and clean the stalls and do it all over again. And, thank goodness for those folks. They are really what makes this all possible on a nightly basis. We've seen some really, I think, impressive performances so far tonight, and we talked about from a time perspective. I would say, yeah, for the big guns later to threaten that 49-3 track record, it'll have to be something extraordinary, I think, because it's just a little bit cool and damp, just enough to, I think, dull the time somewhat.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think they're necessarily going to be absolutely blazing over this track, but that being said, at the end of the day, does time really matter? To some, it certainly does, but I think we're going to see a great race. In a situation like this, I wonder exactly how quick we'll see this group of horses go. 155 would seem like probably a pretty good area. You think about a horse like Masked Man, who in his last start out at London was individually timed in 156. Track was pretty fast that night, but these horses, they've got ability. Silk Road Smash was finishing second, 2 starts back to Chucky Hanover, who I think is going to really threaten those top horses in the gold. So it shows you the kind of talent that you've got in these grassroots level. All right, and again, want to say hi to all of our viewers tonight. I had a question here from Jason Turnbull asking if COSA-TV might be going to the Hambo this year. I'm not sure at this point in time. Cujo Entertainment, of course, gets asked to help out from time to time on big events, both here in Canada and south of the border, so you never know. And asking about the Little Brown Jug as well. And
Well, I'm kind of hoping we'll be there just as spectators, Mark. Put the shorts on, hit the hospitality tent. Pretty good way to spend a day.
Can't beat it, right? And I'll tell you this, it'll be warmer than it is tonight. Well, it should be. There's been some jugs that have never turned out that well, but now that everybody can get back, especially our Canadians here, I'm sure we'll bring the good weather.
For sure. Starting gate rolling for another Grassroots division. Back upstairs to Gary Guy.
Field of 8, race number 8. Here they come. The field for the 8th race, gathering speed, approaching the start. And the rough supervise the moment. Lion's Pride is bolting out strongly. Masked Man along to the inside. Then Silk Road Smash and Final Cheese Recipe. Sentry Iglesias. And then it is a Belichick who's racing second from last as they race their way on into the backstretch. And Jabberwocky is trailing the field. And now it is Supervise the Moment who's got the front. But Final Cheese Recipe on the outside is moving up aggressively. And Final Cheese Recipe wants to be put on the front burner. 27-3 the opening quarter. Final Cheese Recipe at 7-1 takes the lead. Supervise the Moment is second. Masked Man's racing third. Lion's Pride quickly surging on the outside. Then it is Silk Road Smash and Sentry Iglesias. Belichick is second for last, and Jabberwocky off stride. They race off the turn. They come on towards us. Final Cheese Recipe in front of a length and a half over Supervise the Moment. Lion's Pride to the outside. It's getting closer now for Trevor Henry. And then Silk Road Smash is well spotted second over fourth. Then it is Masked Man and Sentry Iglesias. And Belichick is back racing second from last as they race their way on into the backstretch. Final Cheese Recipe in front of length and a half, but Lion's Pride on the outside is chipping away. Now the lead's down to about 3/4 of length, and there goes Silk Road Smash now 3 wide and coming on gamely. It is Silk Road Smash has come on to grab a quick lead of about a length and a half. Racing second, Lion's Pride, and then it is Sentry Iglesias on the outside, third and closing crown. Final Cheese Recipe now drops back on the inside, and then Belichick now is moving. They race by 3/4, 125-3. Silk Road Smash. Lion's Pride is second. Sentry Iglesias, and then Belichick. They on down the stretch ride. Silk Road Smash, a final move from Lion's Pride. Silk Road Smash, and the fourth win on the evening for James Mcdonald. Lion's Pride was second. Sentry Iglesias third, and fourth between Belichick and Masked Man. 154-2. Silk Road Smash.
Silk Road Smash atones for the miscue in his last start of the Ontario Spring Final on May 7th at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Tonight he handles the half-mile oval beautifully, and boy, when James moved him off cover, he made the lead in the blink of an eye.
That was quite a 3-wide move, just looping around to take the top spot and then goes on to the victory. And while Lion's Pride was doing his best to try and close in as they came towards the line, James certainly didn't look like he was panicking at all, as he knew Silk Road Smash had this one wrapped up to get the job done for his second win. Then this just his 5th start of the season, 6th for his career. Here's a horse that debuted last June. I believe one of the mornings we were doing baby race coverage here on COSA-TV. Got 1 start in and then got shut down. So obviously there were some issues there, and then got brought back late winter and has been rolling along as he is getting his career off to a real good start. It would have been interesting to see how he would have performed in that Ontario Spring Final. We didn't get to find out as he made the break racing at the half, but here tonight rebounds beautifully for a 154-2 score. I thought we'd see around 155, so 54-2, a real good mile here this evening.
And at least at this point, kind of a second string type in the Gallucci barn, which is kind of scary to say because he's one that anyone would love to have in their barn. And just a little guy, but you know, he could grow up a little bit more. And one thing he's shown here, high speed. 7 Lion's Pride really outraced his odds tonight. I think by far the best effort we've seen from that one to be second. And Sentry Iglesias, I'm sure the connections will be satisfied. Pretty good debut effort of the 3-year-old campaign for him.
I think they'll be happy, no doubt about that. We saw the big effort in the early going from Final Cheese Recipe. Just shows how tough it is to do it from the 8-hole here at Flamboro. You need to come up with an extraordinary effort to get the job done, and for Final Cheese Recipe, that one ends up packing it in late in the mile after doing the heavy lifting for drivers Sylvain, Filion. You want to see them take a chance. You want to see them put in play, but it's tough to do it here from post 8, so it speaks volumes to the effort we saw from Awesome Hill a race ago.
Viewers tonight from all across Canada. We've heard from folks in the U.S. and want to say hello to William Dornoff from Tasmania, Australia, down under. Great to have you on board, and thank you for the shout out. And we've got J.D. Varnell with a question for us just while we're awaiting the prices here and watching the blanket presentation, wanting to know if COSA-TV will be airing the baby races again this year. Breakfast at the Baby, the qualifiers from Woodbine Mohawk Park the last couple of years. I believe Woodbine Entertainment's going to be doing that this year. So we're not 100% sure yet, but either way, JD, they will be covered and will be available online. Always a fun time of year. And you look at the new faces that we're going to be watching here in another year or two in races like this. What a night at the office for James Mcdonald. He is Canada's leading reinsman from last year and showing no signs of slowing down. 4 wins already on the program, 3 grassroots divisions under his belt, Silk Road Smash. In hindsight, 5-10, generous price.
Yeah, I thought this one was just going to get hammered down. It wasn't the case, so I would take that $5 to win any day of the week on Silk Road Smash. I guess the only thing James will be looking for now, the next time the grassroots pop back up here for the 3-year-old pacing colts and geldings, is that these 3 winners don't join together, because he's got a nice lineup right now in this division.
Those are going to be the types of problems that are going to keep him awake this summer, is oftentimes picking which one he has to drive. Great problem to have, and congratulations to James and the connections. We'll see if that good fortune continues. We've got the Charles Juravinsky Memorial Cup still to come this evening. A conditioned trot coming up next. We'll be back with more from Flamboro Downs momentarily. Camlock Classic returns to the Raceway Friday, May 27th, featuring fine dining, party on the patio, giveaways, and more. Parking and admission are free. Visit camlockclassic.ca.
Harness Racing Update is the sport's most comprehensive and timely news source. HRU covers the sport from all angles with news, features, photography, opinion, and analysis of racing. Also, HRU covers breeding and sales, as well as industry stories you need to know. It's all delivered by a deep, diverse, and talented team of writers and photographers. And the best news is that it's free to subscribe. Subscribe to HRU today for free at harnessracingupdate.com and see what everyone is talking about.
Backstretch second time. No taste by a half length. Apache's Fame looks strong on the outside and now gets a half length in front. Center strip third. The outside in fourth, that's Fortune Leader. Fifth on the inside, right hand man. 3/4, 126. And Apache's Fame clears by 2. In second, No Taste on the outside in third. Here comes Fortune Leader. Center strip is locked in fourth. Seltzer Blue looking for room in fifth. Right hand man is sixth. In seventh, Manifest Destiny and Clemency trails. It's Apache's Fame opening to 3 lengths for Fritz. Racing second is No Taste. On the outside in third, Fortune Leader. Center strip trying to get loose. Apache's Fame, No Taste. Apache's Fame, Confederation Cup 14 winner. The mile 155 flat.
One of the more popular wins over the history of the Confederation Cup, Apache's Fame, of course, won the Pepsi NA Cup the same year as well. Ken Hornick with the call back at the booth at that time, at a time when there were a string of Kens calling the races here over the years. Ken Workington, Ken Hornick, Ken Middleton. Then I had a little stint in there for about 6 months or so.
What's your middle name? Is it Ken?
No.
Oh, okay. How'd you get the
people
job?
wondered. Yeah, that's right. that was the joke going around at the time. And then, and then Gary Guy. And Gary's been here ever since, I believe. So, yeah, great to take those strolls down memory lane for sure. And I can tell you it was an absolute pleasure to work for a brief period for Charlie Juravinski, and anyone that did work for him would say the same thing. Truly a giant in Canadian harness racing. We've got a feature on Charlie now, the namesake of tonight's Charles Juravinski Memorial Cup.
Charles Juravinsky, a product of modest beginnings in Western Canada, he would go on to become a true giant in Canadian harness racing. Charles was born in Saskatchewan in 1929, but moved to Hamilton as a child in the 30s, and no doubt witnessing the Great Depression firsthand played a large part in his tireless drive and work ethic. As a kid, he polished shoes at a barber shop on Barton Street and also delivered newspapers. But that was just the beginning. As the young boy grew into the man who later went on to build a successful construction business from the ground up. He combined his career with his passion when he partnered in the construction of fabulous Flamboro Downs in 1975 and subsequently became its sole owner. The half-mile oval would become a showplace for Canadian racing, and the introduction of the Confederation Cup would elevate the track into the big time. Many of the sport's greatest three-year-old pacing colts would win this race, including perhaps the greatest of them all, Some Beach Somewhere. Charles himself was no stranger to owning great horses. The incomparable Alimony immediately comes to mind, along with Matt Scooter, himself a winner of Flamboro's signature race. Charlie was a larger-than-life character, and right beside him during every step of his amazing journey was his loving wife, Margaret. After selling Flamboro Downs in 2003, Charles and his wife began making considerable donations to the city of Hamilton and McMaster University, focusing on cancer and healthcare. This permitted the establishment of a new state-of-the-art cancer care facility. In 2019, Charles and Margaret gave an endowment of $100 million that led to the establishment of the Juravinsky Research Institute, a partnership between McMaster, Hamilton Health Sciences, and St. Joseph's Healthcare. Charles passed away in February of 2022, and now it is fitting that Flamboro's biggest race would be renamed in his honor. Charles Juravinski, pioneer, builder, philanthropist, and great friend to Canadian harness racing.
The legendary Charlie Juravinski, and known as much for what he did in racing circles, what he did in later years for the health community here in London. He and wife Margaret, it literally can't be measured.
And that's the thing that I think stands out. If you ask many people outside of the harness racing industry about Charles Juravinski, they just talk about his generosity and what he has done to give back to his community, and just the generosity is not putting it lightly. You can't even sum it up. Just what he and his wife were able to do for the healthcare community and to help the surrounding area and in the city of Hamilton. So I think it's really special that Flamboro Downs took the time here to rename the Confederation Cup in his honor, and I know there's a lot of people very pleased about that decision.
And so passionate about horse racing, so passionate about Flamboro Downs. A tough businessman, no doubt, but a heart of gold, and it is so fitting and such an honor to have a race named in his honor, the signature race, which he brought into being back in the mid-70s. There will never be another Charlie Juravinski in the sport of harness racing. Right now, we're going to head back over to our paddock location. Rob Reed standing by with a special guest.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Steve Carter, trainer of Charlie May. He's going to have post 3 in the Charles Juravinski Memorial Pace. And Steve, last week in the elimination, finished third, not beat by much, though. What was your assessment of that performance from Charlie?
I thought Dexter drove him perfect. He crimps up a little bit down by the wire. He's did it almost pretty much every start of his life when he's on the front. So it was a typical Charlie May race.
And, you know, transition from 3 to 4, not always the easiest one to do, but he did it in spectacular fashion. New life mark in his first start as a 4-year-old. How does he seem now transitioning from that 3-year-old season?
Well, he seems like Charlie May. He's very good shape, very sound right now. He's definitely likes to come from behind, and he's much better horse from behind.
And what was he up to this week? Did he stay up here or head back down south?
No, I left him up here with Bo Brown because we thought maybe the shipping might be getting him too tired. So seemed pretty good warming up, and we hopefully it works.
All right, and what's your expectation for tonight's race?
If he gets a good trip and he isn't right there, I'll be very disappointed.
All right, well, thanks, Steve. Good luck tonight, and back to you guys.
Great to hear from Steve, and you were saying you got to know him a little bit, I believe, during his time, and you said no one works harder or puts more hours in than him.
Well, he mentioned that he left the horse with Bo Brown. It was Bo Brown who was telling me some of the days that Steve puts in. He was talking about earlier this year when Charlie May, who, again, Steve's from Ohio, but he took him for a preferred pace to the Meadowlands on a Saturday, then makes the trip all the way back home, and then I believe he raced several horses at Scioto Downs for qualifiers the very next morning. He will sleep in his truck if he has to. He is a workhorse, is Steve, dedicated to his horses, of course, and that's why he's got horses like Charlie May. But I think probably took a little bit of stress off of his plate just leaving the horse up here this week. He was in good hands and is primed and ready for what they're hoping is a big effort here tonight.
Yeah. So Bo Brown, Tisha Symes, that seems to be the kind of the temporary home for the stars when they come to Canada, right? Ocean Rock, I know who we're going to see in the Camlock, Breeders' Crown winner from last year. Very excited to have him here. I believe he's going to be stationed there for the week in preparation, so that's good to see. Charlie May, as great a year as he had last year, it didn't come without its controversy, and boy, I think a lot of people in the industry really felt for the connections after winning the Meadowlands Pace from last year. And we're going to take it and show you the final stages. Unfortunately, we just missed the kind of the key portion of the race here. He's sweeping up for the lead. Now there we're going to look at it there. There was confusion. We're going to pick it up in the backstretch there. And that's him second over. And you see him when he was coming 3 wide. He just put in a couple of steps and then caused confusion with the horse in behind him. Ultimately goes on to win, but was placed back. And boy, really mixed opinion, right? Industry-wide, whether he should have been placed back or not, but ultimately he was.
Yeah, it was a tough call for the judges to make there, and there was obviously contact. I believe it was Rocky Road Hanover, who we'll see in tonight's Charles Juravinsky Memorial Cup. That was the horse that went off stride. Dexter Dunn was right in behind. You mentioned he was just about to go 3 wide. Some say Southwind Genry was backing up into him, and that's what forced him to get out and led to a bit of a chain reaction. Nonetheless, it was a huge effort from Charlie May. He ends up getting disqualified, and while it was controversial, I know it really hit the connections hard because of the fact he wasn't eligible to the Little Brown Jug, and had he won the Meadowlands Pace and been left up, now they would have had the option to supplement to the race. Now those rules are changing going forward, and anybody will have the chance to supplement to the Little Brown Jug, but there was a horse that they could have brought to the Delaware County Fairgrounds. It would have probably been the biggest moment for all of the connections.
Sure.
And it didn't end up happening. It was a bit of a domino reaction to what ended up being a tough break in that Meadowlands Pace. But this is a horse with a ton of ability and still with a lot of opportunities ahead of him, including the race here tonight.
Yeah, and it was Lala Shadow who benefited that night. Of course, one of the Ontario champions. He gets the big win there. His season was cut short due to injury, I should say. We expect to see him back in action this year. Excited about that. It was an exciting division. There was a little bit of everything last year. Kudos to the connections, the way they kind of handled that. That had to be a bitter pill to swallow, but they handled it, as well as could have been expected under the circumstances, and really doesn't diminish from what the horse did. He made a lot of fans last year. He's an exciting pacer, and he is one of the many contenders tonight in our main event just a little bit later. But we've got a trotting event to get to before that. One more here of the overnight variety. And you know what? It's a night full of stakes races, Grassroots, the Margaret Juravinsky Invitational, the big race. But it's still nice to have an overnight. These are the bread and butter horses that race here sort of week in and week out. And, they make for good betting races.
Well, you might look at this race and go, a non-winners of 3 trot, and think it's maybe not the sexiest field, but Right now at 1-2 is the number 4 Luca Hanover, and you're probably familiar with that name if you were following along with our COSA-TV coverage last year, as he did compete in the Ontario Sire Stakes Super Final. He's making his season debut here this evening for trainer Francis Dumichel after a couple of qualifiers at Woodbine Mohawk Park, including his most recent qualifier where he had to follow around Logan Park, who's now at the age of 4. He finished second, beat a couple of lengths to him, but I thought he looked really good, did Luca Hanover, and an interesting spot to see his season debut. But here tonight at Flamboro Downs for the 3-year-old son of Resolve, who won 2 of 8 last year, and like we mentioned, got to that super final, and obviously the Connections are hoping they'll get a repeat of that here in 2022.
And this falls right in to the late pick 4 and pick 5 sequence. It's a good full field of 9 here on the trot, pretty wide open affair. So 2-5 on Luca Hanover. We'll see if he can live up to that billing here, and it's going to be interesting. Let's revisit our trivia question from earlier tonight. We'll give the answer probably just prior to the main event here later on this evening, but we wanted to know which trainer Ron Burke is tied with for the most training victories in the Confederation Cup. Now, Ronnie Burke has kind of owned this race in recent years. He's won 4 of the last 5 editions. One other trainer in the history of the event has won it 4 times. Who is that? Leave your answer in the chat, and we will have the answer just prior to the Juravinsky Memorial, which is coming up in race number 10. Just one more to go before we get to that main event. And, there's an opportunity here for some of the other local reinsmen to get a drive here. It's a night where guys like Doug and James kind of take the spotlight, but fellows like Ryan DeRoche, Scott Young, Mike Whalen, Austin Sorey get a chance to compete here as part of the big program tonight. We've got another contest happening tonight as well. And you've still got time, very little time, though, to enter for that, for a chance to win a signed pair of Yannick Gingras driver colors. You can log in. We'll put that link in our chat as well. You can log in there and offer your selection on tonight's Juravinsky Memorial. And from those who correctly pick the winner, we will be drawing one name, and they will take home a set of autographed colors, compliments of Yannick Gingras was good enough to do that for us, and he, of course, will be competing in that main event. So, again, we've got the link posted there in the chat. Just follow that to sign in and get your pick in before race number 10. Final thoughts here on the 9th race. Luca Hanover, the talk of the tote board at 1-2. Anyone else catch your eye?
Well, the next door neighbor, Global News, this is a filly for trainer Blake McIntosh that they've probably had a bit of a roller coaster ride with her. Her season ended last year in the Ontario Sired Harvest Series, where she ended up finishing 7th, was placed 6th in that contest, but that was coming back after being scratched injured. Then you look at how things have gone this year, and she's had a couple of vet scratches. So really it's been a stop and start for this filly, but when she is racing, she has shown some flashes of some good ability. She took a mark of 158 in her rookie season, winning 2 of 9, and I don't think she's in the same category as a Luca Hanover, but to me, she's probably the second best in this group with, like I said, some good potential to make some money in the Sire Stakes program this season. She's a daughter of Archangel, but again, I don't want to be the guy just always playing the chalk, but really, Luca Hanover's one that I think could have a big season, looking to get started on the right note here tonight.
All right, once again, here's Gary Guy with the description of race number 9.
Second tier, Rose of Tralee. It's a field of 9, race number 9. And they're at the start, spotting the field about 15 or 20 lengths. I've got the will with an early break in stride, and Luke Hanover is looking to make the lead. Global News on the inside is going to be filling the pocket now. Elegance du Roi still traveling on the outside, racing third. Then it is back to Thunder Robson, Headline Maker, and Take a Peek at Me. And Get to the Point is currently racing seventh right now as they work their way on down the backstretch. Then it is back to Rose of Trailey, and I've got the will. On past the opening quarter, Luke Hanover 2-5 on the board. Leads it by a length and 3/4 over Global News and James Mcdonald. And Thunder Romps is third. Elegance du Roi is racing positioned on the inside, fourth in front of Headline Maker and Take a Peek at Me. Then it is back to Get to the Point in Rose of Trailey, and I've got the will. Off the turn they come. They're in a line, and they're all in behind Luke Hanover and Travis Henry. Global News is enjoying the view in the pocket, and then racing third is Thunder Romps. There goes Headline Maker now, making a move on the outside first over. Then it's Elegance du Roi, Take a Peek at Me, Get to the Point, then Rose of Trailey, and I've got the will. 59-4 the halftime, and Luke Hanover leads on down the backstretch. Global News is right there in the pocket, and to the outside, Headline Maker is third, and Thunder Romps is positioned to fourth. Then it is Take a Peek at Me. Elegance du Roi to the inside, 3 wide is Get to the Point, but still about 8 lengths to get to the front. And then it is back to Rose of Trailey, and I've got the will, and they roll on that final turnoff, 3/4, 130-1, and it is Luke Hanover leading, and to the outside, Headline Maker is making some headway, and on the inside, Global News is third, and Thunder Romps is sent out 3 wide. They turn on down the stretch drive. Luke Hanover digging in. Luke Hanover, Global News up the inside off the trip, and flying late on the outside is Thunder Romps as they come to the finish. Thunder Romps is going to rop on by and win it over Luke Hanover, then Headline Maker and Global News. Thunder Romps storming to the finish to win on the 9th race in 2 minutes flat.
Luke Hanover, first start out and just didn't have that final 100 feet or so that he needed to hold on. Thunder Romps, and Scott, the answer Young, steals victory from the jaws of defeat.
Gets up there to score the victory, sweeping on by just in time, gets there. Earlier today, I ran into Scott Young at the mall. He was buying new shoes, so he must like those new shoes, and he can probably afford to get another pair. And he told me he had 2 drives here tonight, and he thought he had a good shot, and he comes through here in the 9th.
I've seen him on doing some modeling, I think, now for Haley there. Haley's got, I think, some clothing, a clothing line or some products that she markets online, and had him doing some modeling. I think he should stick to driving. What do you think?
No comment. But like I said, he never won to lack confidence.
Absolutely.
And that confidence pays off here in this spot as gets up just in time for the victory after the favorite Luke Hanover, I thought, looked real comfortable on the front, but just wasn't able to close out this mile in the season debut.
Yeah, and you just wonder if he maybe needed that start. If you could turn the clock ahead a week and give him the same trip scenario, he likely hangs on for the win. Thunder Romps, a gelded son of Guccio, winning for the 3rd time in 15 this year. So some familiarity. Here's a horse that races here week in and week out. Pretty consistent type. Doesn't win a whole lot, but got there tonight.
Yeah, certainly did that and comes through. 3rd win. Think about that, 15 starts and able to upend the horse that we thought, or at least I thought, was going to be a slam dunk in here making its first start of the year. But it's the familiarity to this track, and Scott Young knew exactly what he had and gets there to get the victory in what was a real tight finish, as Luke Hanover does hold second from Headline Maker, a similar horse to Thunder Romps, who races here almost weekly, and that one gave a good effort for driver Austin Sorey coming first up and getting beat less than a neck.
And for the winner, I mean, a nice one to have for Courtney Robson, who owns, she's the sole owner from nearby Campbellville, so it's in very close proximity. She does the training, and with the win here, almost $25,000 banked this year. So yeah, when you're the sole owner and you don't have too much shipping involved, and you get a horse that's consistent and racing for this kind of purse money, pretty solid one to have in the stable.
Yeah, you will take that, and you just love to see that effort comes through to get the job done in our 9th race, and shakes things up for those multi-leg wagers as we have been tracking that late pick 5 and late pick 4, and this kicks off the final pick 3 of the evening as well.
Yeah, so you guys like Scott, we talked about it. They'd, of course, love to be driving in the Juravinsky Memorial later, races like that. Scott got a little bit of a taste of that in the last couple of years and performed very well with the spotlight on him. You know, there's pressure, and people handle it differently, but in his limited opportunities, he's done very well.
And you know he'll be the first one to be right at the monitor or to be trackside to watch that upcoming main event. He loves the sport, of course, and it looks to hope to get into those spots in the future on a more consistent basis, and that's what everyone's trying to do. They're always trying to knock at the door, and when you break through, it's almost tougher then to be able to stick in those spots, as many can attest.
So those who played Thunder Romps here will be thanking Scott Young for that very nice steer, and triggers a win ticket worth well over $48. The exotics come back huge, including that dollar superfecta, more than $1,500. The exacta, with the chalk finishing second, a healthy $185.70, thanks to a $48.60 win ticket return. Will we see a long shot prevail in the Charles Juravinsky Memorial Cup? We'll find out the answer soon. When we come back, we'll dive into tonight's main event, $273,500 on the line.
By now, you know the name COSA-TV, an industry leader producing unique, high-quality digital content promoting harness racing in Ontario. Features, virtual programming, live events, and more. COSA-TV has it covered. Follow our social media channels and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page to view the latest content. And if you're looking to bet your favorite Ontario track, check out HPIBet.com. COSA-TV, taking Ontario racing global.
For over 25 years, Tara Hill Stud has worked with partners to help produce champion stallions. We are proud to have bred great racehorses like Fade Out, Shower Play, Precious Delight, and There's a Demon in Me. Our stallions, past and present, have had tremendous success while making a huge impact on racing across North America. Mr. Levesque, Mach 3, Cadabra, Muscle Mass, and Precious Bunny, to name a few. Our stallions' progeny have won major events, including the Hambletonian. Tara Hill Stud are currently standing 9 of the industry's top stallions: Alarm Detector, Control the Moment, Danson Lou, Flanagan Memory, Green Manalishi, He's Watching, Muscle Mass, Resolve, and Sports Writer. Our facility is modern, our staff knowledgeable. Consider Tara Hill Stud when choosing a home for your stallion. Tara Hill Stud, where champions stand and champion yearlings are raised. Log on to terrahills.com.
Lobel biling, stage doors leading. Jake Lobel gives him the cold shoulder. Simcoe Hanover moves up on the inside, second, 3/4. 1:26 and 3 now. Watch him take off. The burners, the afterburners are on. Jake Lobel by 4, another world champion. On the inside, Simcoe Hanover, and Mark's going for it all with this colt. He's turning him loose now. Jake Lobel by 5. Simcoe Hanover is now on the inside second. It's all Jake Lobel, Cup 11 champion now. It's just a question how fast. Jake Lobel surging to the finish. Jake Lobel's home in 1:54 and 3, a new track record.
All right. I feel bad for colleague Mark McKelvey here. He's showing these old clips from before his time. Of course, I was a senior in high school that year, but time really does fly. The great Jate Lobel, Ken Warkentin calling the action that year, and that's what the fans wanted to see. They wanted to see that big performance, and he absolutely did not disappoint. Confederation Cup, a lot of history in the event, no question. And when we look back on it now, some of the history that has unfolded over the years. Of course, it started back in 1977. Another great colt, Governor Skipper, winner of the first event, 157-3. They've come a long way, and they've gone much faster, including Some Beach Somewhere.
I was here that afternoon, and it was just an incredible performance. I know Some Beach Somewhere left us in awe many times, but this one might have been up there with maybe my favorite memories outside of the night he won the Pepsi North America Cup. But sweeping both heats to get the victory and doing it in sub 150, it was certainly incredible. But as we said, there's been many great performances over the years. It's such a rich history, this event, and now moving into its new phase with a new name, but still carrying a great legacy.
You're right. Some Beach Somewhere, stakes record, one of Paul McDonnell's 5 victories, and the subject of our final Memory Lane feature of the night.
That lead has it down to 3/4 on the inside third. It is Santana Blue Chip. Then to the outside Shadow Play, a winner of his division in track record time. Inquiry sign is up in this dash. It'll be on the start of the race, and now rolled out 3 wide goes Shadow Play, but Some Beach Somewhere paces on. Santana Blue Chip is 2 lengths off the lead. Keystone Horatio is third. Shadow Play is fourth. Then racing fifth now. That's the Mohican Pan 3/4, a lively 122-4. They turn for home, and it is Some Beach Somewhere starting to pace away. Santana Blue Chip is 3 1/4 lengths back. Some Beach Somewhere with no urging. The Beach is going to win, cut 32 and win it by about 3.5. The time 1:49.2. That's a world record for a 3-year-old pacing colts on a half-mile track. Outstanding.
Stakes record by the incomparable Some Beach Somewhere. We can tell you they came very close to equaling that a week ago in the 3 eliminations that were contested. Let's take a look back and see how these colts arrived here tonight in the lucrative final.
There, but here comes Armor Sealser and Jody Jamison. Highland Beach, his best is racing, still in the pocket, and Rocky Road Hanover is fourth, but now it's in a
Elimination number 1 featured the highly regarded Rocky Road Hanover. He ended his 3-year-old campaign with a win in the Progress Pace, and here in his 3rd start of the 4-year-old campaign looked outstanding.
Sentry Iglesias up the inside. Highland Beach is best. Rocky Road Hanover is flying. Rocky Road Hanover is going to rock right on by it when it. Sentry Iglesias was second. Then
the second elimination featured a marquee matchup. Perfect in 10 this year, Line Drive Hanover meeting up with Canada's reigning horse of the year, Desperate Man.
American Courage is looking for the inside, and Line Drive Hanover is driving as well. Charlie May, Desperate Man, Line Drive Hanover, 3 across the track. Desperate Man is right there and appeared to get it. Line Drive Hanover on the outside and Charlie May on the inside. And then second cruiser, 150-2.
One of the standouts from last year's 3-year-old colt pace division, Bulldog Hanover, made his highly anticipated seasonal debut in elimination number 3 and will haul down the Flamboro Downs track record.
Bulldog Hanover, Luz Perlman is chasing. Bulldog Hanover trying to get home. Luz Perlman is coming, but Bulldog Hanover is going to win. Luz Perlman was second. Then Dean V. Hanover and Hullabaloo. Bulldog Hanover won. 49-3, a track record. Hold on, man.
So the big guns did deliver last week in those eliminations, setting the stage for a fantastic final tonight. Outstanding field of 9, $273,000 plus on the line. Of the three, Bulldog Hanover was the fastest, 1:49.3. In your mind, was he the most impressive, though?
Well, we talked about what happened in the first turn where he made a little bit of a quick break but got things put back together. I was just floored by his performance. I think he was the most impressive. That being said, that elimination with that 3 across finish that was taken by Desperate Man, that's one of the best finishes I've seen this season. All 3 eliminations brought such intrigue to the way that they unfolded. It sets up for a fantastic final. Do keep in mind, the elimination winners, though, they were in an open draw. So winning your elimination didn't secure you a favorable post position, as the connections of Desperate Man found out.
All right, Ron Burke, Yannick Gingras, a formidable combination, no doubt. Burke has won 4 of the last 5 editions of this. He's got the rail post tonight with Luz Perlman, solid runner-up effort. Last time out for this homebred son of Sweet Lou.
Starting from post position number 2 will be Bulldog Hanover. We just saw a moment ago his track record performance, 1:49.3 in last week's elimination. Jack Darling co-owns and trains, Jody Jamieson drives, Brad Grant, one of the sport's most prominent owners, a co-owner here. He's in attendance here tonight, hoping to hoist this prestigious trophy if Bulldog Hanover can get to the line first.
Narrow loss last week for Charlie May in his Flamboro Downs debut, but only beaten ahead and finishing 3rd. He did all the road work up front. What a campaign last year. 10-time winner in 22, earned just shy of $900,000. Don Tiger of Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania, bred the horse he owns. Stephen Carter, the trainer, and Dave Miller in the driver's seat.
What a move Rocky Road Hanover made last week to win his elimination, battling through some interference partway through the mile as well. The Tony Alanya trainee, very impressive. Dexter Dunn has been his regular pilot throughout his career, and he will look to get Rocky Road Hanover the victory here tonight. Last year, this son of Captain Treacherous made over $600,000, won 5 of 22. His most prominent victory, a victory in the cane pace. Rocky Road Hanover leads from post position number 4.
There is Rocky Road Hanover. Good look at him. So impressive winning that elimination a week ago. He didn't win, but also impressive was Line Drive Hanover. And you know, every year these stars seem to emerge from different places. Line Drive Hanover didn't make the racetrack last season at age 3, but this year has come back gangbusters. He was a perfect 10 for 10 going into the elim last week. Tough post, tough trip, overcame all of that, was beaten only ahead. And he's got the hot hands of James Mcdonald back behind him tonight from a much better post position.
You talk about interesting stories with these horses in this field. Well, Armor Sealster, good example of why you just stick with it, as this one now finds himself in his biggest race of his career. He took last year's OSS Grassroots Championship. That was the last time Sylvain Filion sat behind him. They reunite here tonight for trainer Gabby Sasso. Armor Sealster, the number 6.
And Sylvain Filion, winner of the event in 2001 with Ring of Life. He's got the $95,000 London Selected sale graduate, Armor Sealster. Another graduate of that same London Selected sale, a $30,000 purchase with Sentry Heineken, bred by Century Spring Farms of Gorey, Ontario. Doug McNair's had a couple of winners earlier on the card. He's a past winner of this event in 2010 with Aracash Hanover.
From the outside, Desperate Man will look to give his connections another great thrill. The biggest thrill was when he won last year's $1 million Pepsi North America Cup. He went on to be named Canada's Horse of the Year, and last week he prevailed in a 3 across finish in his elimination. Desperate Man, with that victory last week, went over $1 million in career earnings. Trevor Henry sitting behind. The fan favorite, he'll have to overcome post position number 8. Desperate Man looking to get it done in the Juravinski.
And our final entrant will be handled by American pilot Jordan Stratton. He's in town to handle Dean B. Hanover. Jeff Gillis doing the training for this guy this year. He was a $340,000 Harrisburg yearling purchase. Hasn't quite lived up to expectations, but is blossoming into a hard-hitting 4-year-old and getting a little bit better with each and every start, it appears. So he is a real sleeper here. He'll leave from the second tier in this outstanding field of 9. So again, we are just about set for tonight's main event. Want to welcome in some more viewers, those watching on our YouTube feed tonight. John Stolte, former GM here at the Downs. We've got Bill Roman joining us as well, Donna and Monty Males, John Hall, Graham Shaw, and Rob Marriage. Hi to all of those folks tuning in as well. We're going to head back over to the paddock location here in just a moment. We'll catch up with Rob Reed Jr. In a few moments. We were going to try and line up an interview, so we'll see if we can get back over to him. But let's talk about past winners and how that could translate here, because experience certainly speaks for something, and you've got a few drivers in here who have won this race before.
Yeah, and you think about recent history, and I know we've talked about it with our trivia question and the dominance of Ron Burke. Well, Yannick Gingras has teamed up with him a couple of times to win this race since it transitioned over to a 4-year-old event. They won it back in 2016 with Rock and Ron, then a couple of years later with Filibuster Hanover, back with another horse that prevailed in Little Brown Jug in Luz Pearlman, who could be just flying under the radar coming into tonight, which is a little bit surprising considering his resume, and he lands the coveted rail starting spot. The way this draw shook out, that is a murderer's row. I think that's what Robert Reed described it a little bit earlier. You go 1 through 5 and go, wow, this is going to be a shootout when they blast off the wings here in just a couple of minutes.
And there is a look at the Ron Burke mastery over this particular event. So much recent success. It started back in 2015 with All Bets Off, and then came back to win it again with Rocket Ron, Filibuster Hanover, and most recently in 2019 with Done Well, when he teamed up with driver Dexter Dunn on that occasion. And Ron Burke, subject as well of our trivia question tonight. We asked it earlier. Which trainer is tied with Burke for the most victories in the history of this event? And that would be 4 training victories. And it is time to reveal the answer. And we thank everybody for chiming in. And a few folks out there had the right answer. It was Bill Robinson, the late Bill Robinson. His first win coming in 91 with Arcane Hanover, right back the next year with Survivor Gold. We saw Stout winning. And then Art Major, and the race at the time, Mark, was really the stepping stone for Art Major. It was kind of his coming out party. From there, he went on to become a dominant force in the division.
And a lot of people remember he had a driver change going into the final. Of course, the former format was heats, and Steve Condren ends up picking up that opportunity. I believe John Campbell stuck with Mach 3, and, well, we know what ended up happening as Art Major gave Bill Robinson his 4th Confederation Cup at the time, winning back in 2002.
Yeah, pretty solid replacement. I remember Mr. Condren picking up a nice drive on a colt named Goalie Jeff, too, who won the Pepsi North America Cup and went on to quite a 3-year-old campaign as well. Colleague of ours, Shannon Sugar Doyle, he and I drove down together. He's down tonight attending, and he really likes Rocky Road Hanover. And I know he will really like the 5-to-1 offering. And I'm in agreement with him. I'm not saying he's the winner. I'm going to stick with Bulldog Hanover. Rocky Road Hanover, though, the way he hit another gear in the stretch where other colts were winded, he was just finding a second gear.
Well, that's what stood out to me, and I mentioned it when we were introducing this field, the way that he got it done and just made that move on the far turn and sweeps by. It looked almost effortless. How about this horse? He made $600,000 last year, and he didn't fly under the radar. He was known in the 3-year-old pacing colt division as he was battling in all the big events, but maybe quietly made $600,000, I guess you could say. I don't know if we maybe appreciated his talents, and he has got a big opportunity here tonight. Dexter Dunn, all he's done is win big races since relocating to North America, and he's enjoyed his visits to Canada. I'm with Sugar. I'm backing Rocky Road Hanover. He is my pick, and the one thing I'm just wondering is, are we going to see an absolute battle in the early going, or is this one of those races where you think there's going to be so much speed early that you get the opposite?
You just never know. And that was what he alluded to, the fact that he thought Bulldog Hanover would have to be a little bit tentative. He thought Luz Pearlman as well didn't handle the first turn as well as he would have liked to have seen him. So feeling that horses like Charlie May and Rocky Road Hanover might get the early edge on those rivals. And Line Drive Hanover, we'll see if he can pass another test here. He was so good last week and gets a better post to work with. Gary Guy getting set for the call of the 2022 and first ever Charles Juravinski Memorial Cup.
Line drive, Hanover to the outside armor, Silser, Sentry, Heineken, and Desperate Man. The second tier, Dean B. Hanover. Field for the Charles Juravinski Memorial Cup. Gathering speed, here they come. And they're at the start, and they're off. And from the outside, Desperate Man's going to cut home. Bulldog Hanover, line drive Hanover. Line drive Hanover is driven right out to grab the lead. Desperate Man is able to find the pocket from post 8, and Bulldog Hanover's third. Loose Pro Man is racing fourth, and then it is back to Dean B. Hanover and Charlie May. Rocky Road Hanover. Then we've got Armor Sealster, and trailing is Sentry Heineken. Line drive Hanover, and James Mcdonald has got the front past the opening quarter, leading it a length and a half over Desperate Man. 27 seconds the opening panel. Bulldog Hanover now is going to move to the outside and look to bull up and take the lead as they race on around the turn. Luz Perlman is positioned to fourth, and fifth right now is Dean B. Hanover as they come off the turn. Charlie May is back there in sixth in front of Rocky Road Hanover and the trailing pair Armor Sealster and Sentry Heineken. It is Line Drive Hanover, and right now Line Drive Hanover is getting a stiff challenge from Bulldog Hanover at the half in 55, and racing on the inside third, Desperate Man, who did well from the toughest post to have the pocket trip on the back of Line Drive Hanover as they race on into the backstretch. And now Bulldog Hanover may have flattened out. Up the inside, Dean B. Hanover. Luz Perlman is spotted second over, racing fifth, and then Charlie May. Charlie May is going to roll three wide. Then Rocky Road Hanover, but it is Line Drive Hanover and James McDonald. Desperate Man has been getting a nice trip. On the outside, Bulldog Hanover racing for this Dean B. Hanover. Then Charlie May is closing now, three wide, but still about 3.5 lengths from the front. And then Luz Perlman is backing away, and then Rocky Road Hanover, they turn for home. 3/4 in 1:22. Line Drive Hanover and James McDonald. Desperate Man and Trevor Henry in desperate pursuit of Line Drive Hanover. Line Drive Hanover and Desperate Man. Line Drive Hanover wins the Charles Juravinski Memorial Cup first edition, taking it over Desperate Man in 1:49. That's a new Flamboro Downs overall track record. Giddy up. Line Drive Hanover.
Wow, what a show these Pacers putting on tonight. It is an overall track record here at the Downs for Line Drive Hanover. His lone defeat of the season coming last week in the eliminations, but a lot of trouble to negotiate tonight, taking no prisoners and really capitalizing on the fact that Luz Perlman, Bulldog Hanover had to be a bit tentative from the inside. So Line Drive Hanover and James McDonald just can't do anything wrong. Not totally unexpected to see him make the move off the gate. Desperate Man, on the other hand, very surprising.
From post 8 and lands in the 2-hole, and the way he got out of there, that's always been the one maybe knock, I guess you could say, to Desperate Man, is the lack of gate speed. Well, he was ready to rock tonight. Trevor Henry just firing him out of there. Gets the 2-hole trip, but is not going to be able to upend Line Drive Hanover. A very simple approach, just shoot out to the lead and keep on rocking. And again, 27:55, those are good clips, but it's not that taxing for these kind of horses. And I think James McDonald just had to be sitting there thinking he was in great shape when he saw that half come up in 55. He got a 28-second second quarter. Bulldog came out pretty early, and Jody Jamieson puts him out there. That horse, he had troubles with the turns, but he just kept on fighting. But James McDonald just put the foot on the gas pedal there in the third quarter and never looks back. 54 flat is back half for this record performance.
Yeah, you're just not going to close from off the pace into that kind of a final half. And it speaks to how special this horse is. Line Drive Hanover. He's battled injuries that sidelined him at 2. Injury sidelined him again at age 3. But Casey Coleman and Connections gave him the time and came back. For them to sit and wait on this horse tells you what they thought of him, and he's now really justifying that confidence.
Exactly that. And again, they've had to be patient, but it's paying off now. And we hadn't seen him have to face a test like this before. And here tonight, he passes it with flying colors as he wins in 149 flat. And you think about what could be ahead for him. You think about the fact that he's almost, I don't know if fresh is exactly the word, but he hasn't been battled and had to go to war the way some of these horses have had in their 3-year-old campaigns. He is ready, and he looks like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. James Mcdonald told me multiple times over the last few months with each week that he would pick up a victory, just how special he thought this horse was, and we are seeing exactly that.
Yeah, and the recent wins at Mohawk, a lot of them have been measured wins with the horse with the bit still in his mouth, and they had to, stretch out a little bit here in the last couple of weeks. And, we weren't sure until you see him do it at this level. You're not 100% sold. It's safe to say we are sold on this horse now. And, we look forward to watching him bang heads with the top older pacers in the sport in many of the biggest events. You have to think it's early, but if he stays healthy and everything goes well this season, we were looking at a Canadian Pacing Derby type contender.
Exactly that. And a couple of weeks ago at Woodbine Mohawk Park, I was talking to one of his co-owners, Jim Fielding, and he mentioned to me the fact that if they didn't go to this race, for example, and just said, let's focus on those bigger ones down the road, this is going to be a real tough race, he said that could be an option. They know how special he is. But they, of course, did make the decision to come here, and it pays off with this victory in the Juravinsky Memorial Cup. But, I think they all knew. They just knew this is a special horse with all kinds of ability, that he can be a superstar. And it's one of those examples of just being patient, and it can pay off. And Line Drive Hanover, if you didn't already know the name, you certainly do now.
So as impressive as he was in victory tonight, we're almost equally impressed with Desperate Man and showing a totally different side of his game that we have never seen, frankly. And the connections, we did a feature with them not that long ago, and that was their big concern coming into this year, his lack of gate speed. And they said, you know what, we just can't give up the early position and multiple lengths to these types of horses this year and expect to win. So it's great to see him add that weapon to his arsenal this season. And boy, he shot right out of there tonight. And he was chasing this horse right to the end. But that tells you how impressive Line Drive Hanover was when a horse like Desperate Man is on your back, and the way he closes his miles and could only get up to about the wheel and no further. And Dean B. Hanover, a well-beaten third, but I think a good result for him. And he continues to evolve. And, as the season goes on, I think you'll hear more and more of that horse as well.
I think you will for sure. Mac Nickel, who owns the winner, Line Drive Hanover, also owns a piece of Dean B. Hanover, who started his racing career in the Casey Coleman barn. Going back to Desperate Man for a moment, you have to wonder, with Trevor Henry surprising everyone with the way he got him off the wings of the gate, did that really change things for those towards the inside? All of a sudden, he's landed in the 2-hole. We talked about those horses that had to be cautious. They didn't get away maybe in the spot they thought they would, and it really changed the complexion of the race.
Yeah, in some jurisdictions, in-race betting is allowed, and there's a prime example. How many people would have totally changed up their wagers on a race, after the first turn was put to bed. Just incredible race, very entertaining, and some incredible individual performances. Right now we're going to head over to the winner's circle and catch up with Rob Reed Jr.
All right, I'm here trackside with James Mcdonald, winning driver aboard Line Drive Hanover. First, I got to ask you, last week's effort I thought was one of the best in all the eliminations. What did it look like from your perspective?
Yeah, he was awesome. He was coming a million on the end. I had to check him a couple times, and then anyone that followed after the wire, he was just like he doesn't know where the wire is. He doesn't know. He's still a really green horse, really just learning how to race. So I was really confident going in, but I knew I needed to find a great trip, and the what trip I got, I couldn't ask for a better one.
And sliding in 2 spots tonight, your mind was made up off the gate. I mean, that was an incredible leaving move to get to the front. Talk a little bit about the strategy going into it, and it certainly seemed like it worked out.
Yeah, that was, I said to Tony and Casey and the guys, I said, I went over the race 100 times in my head, and none of the times I ended up on the front. I just thought for sure I would get away 5th or 6th. But I told Tony last week I tried to leave with him a bit, and I'd never asked him off the gate. And he was like lost. He didn't know what to do. He dropped the bit and was like in and out. And then today I kind of had him on his toes a little more, and I said just to hold position. And the gate open, he's got so much raw speed. He was just gone. Yeah, I couldn't be happier for the horse. The connections. It's a great win, that's for sure.
All right, and a little bit about the streak that he was on. 10 in a row, of course, that got broken last week. But was there any pressure going into those starts leading up to that?
No, I mean, Tony and the whole ownership group, no one ever put pressure on me. It was just, in my head, it was teach him first, because he's a really immature horse with a ton of upside. Teach him first, and hopefully the wins come. And, it makes my job a lot easier when there's no pressure. But that being said, anytime there's a streak on the line, you want to get there too. Just try and win, but don't hurt the horse. So.
Okay. All right, well, congrats, James. Awesome job there aboard Line Drive Hanover. We're going to bring in Tony Beaton now, trainer of Line Drive Hanover. Tony, we had an interview queued up before the race. It didn't work out, but I said, hey, I'll see you after the race.
Little malfunction, eh?
So a little bit about that mile today. Just incredible stuff. All-time track record here at Flamboro Downs. Was something you were expecting?
Not the way the trip went. Like, I was expecting I was hoping for a second over trip, and when the gate left and I seen his head out there first, I said, I guess they're on plan B, or maybe James is plan A, I don't know, but I just let James drive the horse, and he's done a tremendous job so far.
All right, and right now, lightly raced in his career, but getting, up there in starts now this season as a 4-year-old. Is a start count something on your mind?
We've been kind of monitoring his starts anyway. Like, we raced him every couple of weeks there, and trying to save some of these starts for these big races and not over race them, but he had to learn. He still doesn't even really know what he's doing out there, although he's winning. But like James says, he's still green when he's racing and that, but he overcomes everything.
All right, and what's next for Line Drive Hanover? What's next in the schedule?
I believe he's got the graduate at Mohawk, I believe it is, June 5th. And then I think maybe the Meadowlands graduate and final, as long as we're still good enough.
All right. Okay, well, looking forward to seeing those. Let's bring in Casey Coleman just real quick now. Casey Coleman. All right. Hey, great to see you, Casey. And, Anthony Beaton worked many years for you, right? And now it's kind of come full circle. Now he's training one for you that's just doing incredible. Can you talk a little about that for us?
Yeah, Tony worked for me for, I think, 10, 12 years. He was my head man for a long, long time, ran my operation back when we had over 100 head. And when Line Drive was ready to race, when we got him ready and I was going to Florida and I needed to race him as a 4-year-old, there was nobody better to pick but Anthony, and we sent him there, and he's done a fantastic job. Like I said, the horse has been beat once, and even on the time he was beat, I think that's almost one of his best starts yet. He raced fantastic last week. So Tony, his whole crew there, and Riley, the kid that takes care of him, does a fantastic job with him. The horse looks great. So.
And, of course, one start at 2 and then not racing until 4. I mean, is this what you expected from him back then, or is this now just kind of gone to a whole new stratosphere?
What he's doing now is what I expected. I didn't expect to wait till he's 4 years old to race, but I've never waited on a horse this long. Like, if they're not good at 2, if they don't race at 2, I sell them. Especially if they're not good at 3, I sell them. And I told my partners on this horse, I said, I'm not selling him, I'm keeping him. His injury, he got bone bruising at 2. He broke a tibia at 3. I thought he was the best 2-year-old I ever had. I thought he was the best 3-year-old I ever had, and he got hurt both times. So I wasn't letting him go. One partner did sell out. The rest of the partners all stayed in, and now here we are. And couldn't be any happier. Like, he's always showed this talent. Now he's finally doing it on the racetrack. And James Mcdonald, he's doing a fantastic job driving him. I didn't think that's the way the trip was going. I really thought, I loved the draw, and I thought there's going to be all kinds of inside speed, and it was going to set up for Line Drive coming from off the pace. I did not see us being the one on the front, but it worked out pretty good.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Casey. You got a real nice one on Line Drive Hanover. The connections of Line Drive Hanover, the winner of the Charles Juravinsky Memorial Cup.
All right, wonderful to hear from all of the connections. And you know what, 149, and we talked about it earlier tonight, we did not think they would threaten the track record. Well, they don't threaten it, the shatter.
Yeah, they just blow it out of the water. It's incredible. I think it speaks volumes of what kind of performance that was, considering the kind of night, cooler temperatures. I don't think the track was lightning fast per se, just with the way the conditions have been over the last day or so, but my oh my, Line Drive Hanover, that's a statement victory and puts everybody in the older pacing ranks, I think, on notice. He's still got these 4-year-old events coming up, but you mentioned it, Canadian Pacing Derby maybe down the road. Really exciting to think where Line Drive Hanover can go.
And how about the high five pay there with Desperate Man at long odds, second, and Dean v. Hanover third. Almost $15,000 on a 20-cent ticket. So jackpot time in their main event here tonight. Congratulations to the Connections. Line Drive Hanover, one of the most impressive performances in the history of Flamboro Downs, takes the first Charles Juravinsky Memorial Cup to cap off what's been a wonderful night of racing here. We've enjoyed it. We hope you have as well. I want to remind you that we are back this coming Friday evening, upcoming here on COSA-TV. We are going to be down the highway in London, Ontario for the Cam Luck Classic. Again, that's coming up Friday night. The Cam Luck Classic, and we are looking forward to that. What a field. We'll have the fastest horse in the history of harness racing on a half-mile track. This is the plan, will be in action. He'll take on the current King of Canada, Jimmy Freight, and a wonderful supporting cast, $150,000 on the line, and it will be an amazing undercard as well. And there's a look at the lineup a little bit later on throughout the summer here. Lots of live coverage of all the main events from across Ontario here on COSA-TV. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time, next Friday night from London.
By now, you know the name COSA-TV, an industry leader producing unique, high-quality digital content promoting harness racing in Ontario. Features, virtual programming, live events, and more. COSA-TV has it covered. Follow our social media channels and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page to view the latest content. And if you're looking to bet your favorite Ontario track, check out hpibet.com. COSA-TV, taking Ontario racing global.